Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and we kind of have a real special episode here. It's going to be the John Fitch retrospective. As any big fan of MMA knows, you hung it up this weekend, John, after a very competitive battle with an up-and-coming Gracie. Really fun fight. A lot going on in that fight, and I just want to tip my hat to you. I want to say what a career. I mean, one of the few guys that really spanned almost 3 generations of fighters, top level. And once again, John, I mean, take us through it. Take us through your experience this weekend, and I think is our 1-year anniversary of Mixed Martial Mindset, actually.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Big show. I'm having this is my official first guilt-free pipe. Oh, it's glorious. It's glorious.
Oh, boy.
I inhaled a little bit, even. Oh, man. Glorious. No, like I'm in a great place. I'm ready to be done. I gave full effort in my training camp, full effort in trying to win the fight. Neiman Gracie was better than me that night. I'm good with that. He did awesome. It was a great experience. The whole thing was wild. It was weird. You know, walk out to the cage, like looking around, there's nobody there. Like, oh, this is bizarre. I even said it, walk out there. I was like, holy shit, this is weird. It's like, oh, well.
I saw you smiling while you were pumping those fists in that John Fitch
I was
fashion.
like, this is insane. So like, you're just rolling with it, just having fun. And, cause yeah, you go and you yell and I'm like, there's no one here to yell at. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm just doing it. I mean, when you're in the fight, you're in the fight. Everything fades away anyways. Like most times everything goes black and there's silence and it's all muffled and I'm on my focus anyways. So that wasn't much of a change. Crazy Bob Cook has a really distinct voice and I could hear him in a crowd of 1 million people just as clearly as I could hear him that night with nobody around. So that didn't change much for me. But yeah, it was weird. It was weird. We got there, we had to get tested. And then we had to wait basically a whole day in quarantine in our rooms until we got cleared to go and train and be in the training areas. Which was just not sitting well with me. Like I was feeling achy and I was cramping and stuff it was Tuesday. Basically Tuesday we had to stay in our room the whole time. So I did the old Dan Gable Competitor Extreme. And if you know those old DVDs or that old DVD, like they would move the beds out of the way and set up their stuff to cut weight and work out in the hotel rooms. So we moved the bed out of the way and we got a workout in. Got to hit mitts and everything, and got a really great sweat. Worked some of the cobwebs out, and then when we were allowed to go to the workout areas on Wednesday, like I felt great. I had an amazing workout Wednesday night. I was feeling really good. The weight cut on Thursday was easy, not easy, but predictable. Right, because if I stick to my book, the Wake Up Bible, if I stick to that process, like you stick to that discipline, it happens. Like it's not like a big surprise or oh my god, I have this much more weight to lose. It was pretty on point. I lost 6 pounds in my workout Thursday night. I was able to eat some. I went to bed at about 173.5.
Okay.
Woke up in the morning, about a pound and a half over, did about 40 minutes in the sauna, and that was enough to get me close enough to where I floated the breath. Do you even have to wear
the sweatsuit in the sauna?
No. You wear the sauna suit the night before the Thursday night workout.
Okay.
Because that you want to get the body really hot at that point to keep the sweat going. But once you're in the sauna, they gave us a portable sauna that we were allowed to take home with us. And that made it easy. Like some of the things were better. Like a lot of the guys were saying that they liked it better. We got our own training area, right? It was curtained off. So we had our own training area, our own mats. So no one else was going to be on those mats. So you didn't have to worry about any other dirty fuckers in their staff or their ring horn or whatever.
Like,
yeah. So they were also cleaning the mats the whole time. So that was awesome. That was really cool. And then everybody got their own sauna if they needed a sauna to work out in or to sweat to make the weight. So like, to me, that was an upgrade. That was an upgrade in how things are normally done. I really hope they keep similar methods moving forward because it makes it easier for the athlete. And if it's easier for the athlete, you're going to get better performances out of the athlete. If I have to stress about where am I traveling to get the sauna work in, oh, it's a 20-minute drive, so I have to calculate the drive time in. Am I going to Uber it there? We're going to have a hotel, somebody from the hotel take us. We're going to have somebody from Bellator or the promotion take us. And then when you get there, is my opponent going to use the same sauna at the same time? So there's all kinds of stress and BS that goes along with that. And I thought it was way easier being in our confined little spot, having everything we needed right there. I thought that was cool.
excellent. So again, let's get into the fight. You know, you get in there, you got the big grin on your face before the first round. To recap it a little bit, you know, standard Fitch got him up against the cage. You know, you had the hooks in, grinding into him. I'd say the first 2.5 minutes. He's able to reverse it and then kind of get these pseudo takedowns and submission attempts. What did that feel like in the first round to have that young buck Gracie going for every sub imaginable?
No, it's when he did really good. What he did really well was when he pressured me.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was getting off and when I was doing things, he was moving backwards. So him moving forward. Next fights, he needs to make sure he's not moving backwards. But yeah, you know, I wanted to knock him out. Mm-hmm. I wanted to go out there and throw hands. I didn't want to really get into a big grappling match. I didn't want to do 15 minutes of takedown and ground and pound.
Yeah.
You know, and again, I don't want to take anything away. I don't want to pull a Rory, but like I was full intent, 100%, had my game plan, was ready to go and beat him. There was no wishy-washy, whatever stuff that factored into that. But my game plan was I wanted to knock him out. I wanted to stay away from the wrestling, the grappling, and put hands on him. Mm-hmm. I had a hard time finding my range. When I did finally find my range, I almost surprised myself. He kind of turned away, and then he pressured me quickly and put me in the fence. Mm-hmm. Was able to get a takedown from there. If I would have been smarter, I would have kept distance, got off the fence, and then went back to work. Maybe things would have been different, whatever. I hit him one time really hard, and I might have broke my hand.
Really? So you think that you might have broke your hand. Well, then talk about the arm bar that you had to defend for almost 60 seconds at the end of the round. No big deal?
No big deal.
No big deal.
I was trying to wear him out.
Okay. I mean, I saw that arm bar. I was worried.
I was letting him get tired.
I saw that arm bar, Fitch, and I was worried. You had a lot of time.
I was catching my breath, and I knew that if him squeezing hard would get him tired.
Well, you had the grip.
Okay
you definitely had the double grip. You know,
yep.
you had it locked in.
Yeah, I have. I teach it. If I can get that arm that's endangered behind the other arm and this hand behind the knee, well, he's got to pull bone through bone in order to finish the arm. So it becomes almost impossible for him to finish. He tried to hit me a little bit, but then his stability goes away, and then I'm able to work my way up to my knees, which is what I did. And then I used, the stacking and the pressure to get out of the danger. But no, man, yeah, he was slick. And I was like, damn. I was like, man, that was slick when he hit the arm bar.
Yeah.
Because I was throwing him off my back, and he slid. I was like, oh, you son of a bitch. I was like, that was nice.
Well, that was what's cool about the fight. Extremely competitive. It's not like anybody was pulling punches, but you could tell both you guys were having fun in there. And that brings me to the end of the fight, the second round, when you're kind of locked up in this heel hook. You're trying to get at him, get a little leverage, and you guys start jawing at each other a little bit. So what's said right there?
I started jawing him. Because, all right, so there was a time where my leg was straight, and I was okay, and I could have fought out of that position. But then I made a mistake, and I bent my leg. And as soon as I did that, I could see his face, and I just knew. I was like, my leg was in a bear trap, and there wasn't much I could do to get it out. Maybe I could have stalled if I would have known or thought about it more. Maybe I could have stalled out of the round and I got finished right there. But I went to the age and treachery. So I told him to start sitting. I was like, sit up so I can hit you. Come on, sit up. Let me hit you. And then he kind of laughed and then hit me. And I was like, no, you're not supposed to hit me. I was supposed to hit you. Sit up, come on. And then he started laughing, and I could have made him laugh a little bit harder. If I could have got him a little bit more, he wouldn't have been thinking about that leg, and I might have got it out. Mm-hmm. So I went to the old school tactics. I tried to distract him so that I could get out of the position. But like he figured out what I was doing right at the last second, and his face got straight, and he went for the ankle. He went for the heel. And, I knew I was in a bad place because my foot was in a bear trap, and like he had Danaher and, the leg lock stuff. And I'm not up to date on Danaher's systems. And my buddy Mo was in my corner because he's got the DVDs, and he's kind of knew what was going on. He broke it down for me afterwards. But like it's systematic. They set up attacks on one thing in order for you to escape. So they finish a different place. Gotcha. So like they're going for A over here, and really they want you to cycle through so they can finish you on D, right? So I kind of walked into their trap. Neiman did a great job selling the DVDs after the fight. But yeah,
I saw that. That's great.
Lack of knowledge in that one little position, and lack of preparedness on that one specific position for that fight. And I'm kind of done, like I wanted to win. I put everything into it to win, but at the same time, throughout the whole camp, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. Well,
I'll tell you what, you look super relaxed today, I
feel good. There is no, like, I watched the fight over again. It was fun. It was good. Both guys, we did great. So I don't have regrets about it. There's that competitive part in me that's like, oh, if you just would have done this more, but then I'm like, yeah, but that would have meant how many hours of being in that position in training? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't want to do that. Okay. And like that's how I know I'm done, is because I know what it takes. I could beat him. I could beat Neiman 100%. I could 100% beat Lima, but like I don't think I want to do the training camp in order to do that.
I mean,
that's what it comes down to. The risk versus reward. It's like I know if I put in the time, but I don't know if the reward is worth that effort.
Well, you know what? On the run-up to the fight, John, everybody in the media was commentating on how you did not look, 42 years old. And you went in there. It's not like this was like a comeback fight. You've been steadily fighting throughout this entire time.
I've been a top 20, top 10 fighter since I started. I wasn't even 10 fights deep, and I was already in those rankings. I was already somewhere on the radar. So I'm proud to have been at this high of a level for as long as I have been. Mm-hmm. It's good.
So let's talk about two things after the fight. You talked about how goofy it was, that there's really no one there. Basically family members and everybody that's there, even the media is wearing masks. Even your corners have got to wear masks. I saw you exit the cage immediately, have to put on a mask. But I know it. When I saw that, I was like, fuck. What I wanted to say, though, what was also odd to me is, I'm very glad that, obviously Big John McCarthy and Bellator gave you your due and let you talk after the fact. But they have that spot, and they've got the microphone pointed to you, and you can't even be next to McCarthy. Did that strike you as a little weird too? Did that feel weird, that moment where you're kind of across
it was a little bit weird. It was a little weird, but at the same time, it's kind of like you get your own little stage. So that was kind of cool too, because they're making it bigger. They're kind of making you bigger. That's kind of cool.
Framed you up a bit.
And I gotta thank Neiman too, because Neiman demanded that they talk to me first, and I thought that was really awesome.
Yeah, they were.
He saw me put the gloves down, and he said, no, talk to Fitch first. He went over and kneeled down, paid respect. I mean, he's an awesome dude. I wish some of those guys respect. Neiman Gracie is one of my favorite people ever. Mm-hmm.
I've met Neiman twice, and thank you when I went to Madison Square Garden before it was Escape from New York. I sat with him and his family and his grandson, and and again, that was the second time meeting him. He couldn't have been nicer, and obviously he was cornering Gracie later in the night, so he was over and out. Great guy. I hope you do end up coming in and working with those guys. I think it would be great. I think that's one thing that the Gracies, don't get me wrong, they got some decent striking on their feet, but never really had that ground and pound. It was always a setup to get you on the ground, grapple, and take that position.
A lot of guys. I mean, it's not just Gracies, but a lot of grapplers miss the the in-between phase of striking and wrestling. Okay. They go from one straight to the other. There needs to be a blurred line there. And a lot of people don't know that. I call it fitting in. And a lot of guys have no idea how to fit in. They're striking and then they drop and change levels and they shoot. And when it's that broken apart, it's too easy to see. And it's too easy to stop, stay away from.
So the next thing after the fight, they get you, you actually look so happy at the post-fight presser. But you talked about something you've talked about here. And I really hope that, this is the beginning of that. But, basically social media for fighters. Because at this point in the game, especially now when they're turning over kids that are, forget about, the UFC used to bring you into their farm program or Dana White's Contender Series, tough, if you were, had 10 fights. If you had maybe a little less, even if you were like a 15 and 8 guy and you had a streak, maybe that's where you'd be. Now they're turning those fighters over if you win a Contender Series bout, or sometimes even if you're not. You know what I mean? So it's so important that you have to be grounded in this idea of selling yourself and using social media. So speak to that.
No, so I think it's where the market is right now. It's just what it is. It used to be or not it used to be, but like in boxing, when you have a more open system than we have in our market here, and the way it used to be before UFC fully monopolized things, is the promoter used to put a lot of time and effort in building up the fighter. You could refer to it as like kind of like farming or something. They used to plant the seed, they'd water the seed, they'd nurture the plant until it grew up big and tall tree, and then the fruit would come and they'd take care of it until the fruit was ripe, and then they'd pick the fruit and they'd squeeze it. They don't want to do that shit anymore. They want to take the ripe fruit and squeeze it until it's done with the juice, and then they want to throw it away. And that's just how the market works right now. And you can either accept that and work with it and do your best to monetize that, or you can cry about it and be broke. Long is gone where just being good was enough. And even being an exciting fighter isn't enough anymore. Right? You have to have more than that. And you can see with these cases like CM Punk, right? He comes in out of nowhere and he makes $500,000 for a fight, and he's got main card status. How does that happen? Well, notoriety. He has notoriety. If you have a certain level of notoriety, you get more attention, more fights, more eyeballs on you, more sponsors, more opportunities to make money. A bigger chance to make affiliate sales. Everything is better with notoriety. So the fighters have to figure out ways to increase their notoriety. They have to get more seen, more eyeballs on them. And if you're fighting once or twice a year, it's really hard to do through fighting. And if the promoter is not really promoting you and there's all these other events going on all the time, like you got a window of a week, you fight twice a year, you get a window of a week of promotion. You think that's going to be enough to get you to the numbers you need to make real money? It's not going to happen. So that's where my idea is to fill that space in the market and help fighters do that themselves. On the low level, it'll be consulting. If I can talk to fighters and they can set up a consulting meetings and I can point them in the direction of what they need to do so they can do it themselves. That's one level of it. But taking it as far as even being the person who provides the service. You're already the fighter. Okay, we're going to do all these things for you. You either pay us directly or we'll take a cut of the profits we make that we bring in. So I've got some good ideas on this stuff. It's what I've been kind of studying and putting myself into recently. And, I see guys who are nobodies who have built up a following on social media who are making 6 figures selling workouts and other things online because of what they've built up. There's no reason for a fighter not to be able to do the same type of stuff.
I totally agree. And it's almost like, you don't have to sign with me as your manager. That's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to make, appearances for you or get you seen here. I'm here to make sure when those things happen that you're exploiting them in the right way, and when those things aren't happening, you're making enough happen on social media.
But we make our own stuff up. We make our own events.
That's
we make
right.
our own things to push.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, that's exactly what needs to be done. A lot of these guys need to be done. I wish I would have learned this earlier. It would have made a huge difference. But yeah, yeah, I think it's a cool way to stay in the market too, stay in MMA. And the managers are going to love me because I'm going to make their fighters more valuable, and the promoters are going to love me because I'm going to bring more eyeballs in on their fighters.
Well, Fitch, I love it.
Everybody makes more money.
I love it, man. And you've been really, something else that's been said in the past couple days is what an ambassador for the sport, and not only the sport, but for fighters and, their ability to make money in this very short period of time that most of them have. And going against the grain, man. I think that's one of the things that you're absolutely going to be remembered for, that you didn't bend the knee, that you didn't just go along with selling out all your rights and saying that was okay. And kind of speak to that, as the other passion other than fighting, because you've been actually doing this and trying to bring the Ali Act into fruition now for, over a decade, really.
And yeah, we have 3 days. 3 days. The 17th will be the decision. We're getting a decision in the class action lawsuit on class certification.
So explain to people what that means exactly, because basically what you're trying to do is make it so that the promoter can't control. The promoter can't just control the fighter. The way they have it right now is private contractors where they control the belt, but the belts are these different organizations that are outside of the promotions themselves.
So, I mean, basically, the lawsuit is that the UFC had purposely created schemes in order to monopolize the market and to monopolize things, which had incurred damages onto the fighters. If the judge believes that this is a possibility, then he will give us class certification and we'll go to trial. He may not give us class certification, and then we can go on to a majority class certification, and then that would be like 100 fighters. If we get 100 fighters to sign off on it, and we can prove that at least these 100 fighters were damaged economically, then we can go to court on that on behalf of those 100 fighters. And the idea is that you have to have legal benchmarks to push the promoters up against, because if there's no legal backstop, there's no reason for them to change any of their business practices. They don't have to do anything different. And we've learned this from other sports who have sued or threatened to sue, because you can't strike. We're not employees, right? So if you sign a bout agreement and you strike, like, they can sue you because you broke your bout agreement. If you have a promotional agreement and you strike or whatever, they just don't offer you fights until they absolutely have to, and it's going to be the worst possible matchup on the undercard that nobody ever sees. It's just the way it is. As long as promoters control title and exclusive contracts, they have complete power. And, unless we get some legal backstops to change that, it's not going to. So the Ali Act is one way we can get a legal backstop to push them up against, and the class action lawsuit is another.
So I'm not sure you saw this, but Vince McMahon, for instance, because we're talking about sports entertainment at some level as well.
I heard about this. I heard about it.
Yeah, he was basically saying that wrestlers that were on Cameo couldn't even use their real names. Like he doesn't want them doing any live streaming, like Twitch, like whatever. So he's basically saying, like, hey, I can be the only source of income for you. Well, he's putting himself in a big bad position, because he's basically saying they're employees. That's not okay. And that's the same exact business model for MMA as it is for pro wrestling. That should alarm a lot of people, that it's not a normal business model for sports, because it's not a sport. It's sold to you as a sport. It's sold to the commissions as a sport, but really it's pro wrestling. It's an exhibition. It's just an exhibition. Well, Fitch, this is where I steer away from everything Fitch into Conor McGregor.
And this, oh my God, this was, when I saw the headline, I thought, oh, well, they're finally bringing him in for the other two things. No, this is brand new.
All right.
Brand new.
So, Fitch, wow. Like, I'll never forget when I think I sent you the second one via Twitter, and you just sent me back, Predator's gonna Predator. And You know, the thing is that we sit here and joke about this, but I'm going to say it a fucking again for anybody who needs to listen. This guy is a violent sexual predator of women, and this is yet another example of what this maniac thinks he's going to do. Meanwhile, Disney, Reebok, the UFC are all feeding you a family man. He just proposed to Sweet D. He's her fiance now. They're going to get married. They're on a boat. He was in town, get this, Fitch, for some kind of a boat, like, I don't know, some bullshit, some
Boats
charity
and
event.
hoes.
Some charity
Boats
event
and
with the
hoes.
Princess of Monaco. like the Princess of Monaco's there. You know, this should let people know. The people at the top associate with scum. I'm just letting you know. Like, they're the big celebrities at this thing. So,
Well, it's all clout. It's all clout chasing.
yeah.
So they'll hang out with pedophiles as long as it gets some clout.
I mean, who knows who's a pedophile here? That's not what he's accused of. I want to make that clear.
Oh,
But
yeah, that was an Epstein
yeah.
reference.
Oh,
Right.
we can get into that too. There's breaking
Let's
news there.
not throw shit on the pile of shit. But
Yeah, this guy's just a violent rapist, folks, not children.
Yeah.
I just want to. Anyway, so John, there's no details like the first, second day, right? So like trolls on like 4chan or whatever, and you know how they're always trying to manage this. The first time people were trying to say
Yeah.
it wasn't him, and it was a soccer player, a rugby player, Rory McIlroy.
Yep.
So the troll story that came out was that he was with his mates drinking about and doing blow, and they put Viagra in his cocaine, and they happened to be at a beachside bar. So they said he flipped his handle. Hold on. Of course, none of this is true. Ran buck naked out in front of a bunch of children and pile drived an old man in the sand with a heart on. Because, yeah, obviously not real, but like that's what the trolls try to put out there. What actually happened, and who knows if they'll actually charge him with it because all this money and ridiculousness. He was at a bar. Some married woman got cornered by the bathrooms by McGregor and his bodyguards, and he just thought he'd whip it right out there. Just sling it right out, John. Is that the style of the MMA fighter, the international MMA superstar? You walk up to somebody with your bodyguards and just sling dick out? Is that appropriate?
It's that's wild. But I mean, like, is this?
How is this not headlines everywhere?
No, he's gonna. Well, because WME is a huge, powerful organization. They have so much money and they have so much shit going on. Like, Harvey Weinstein raped people for a long time.
I know.
You know, as like,
It's dude. So it's so funny. So all right, you were talking to me last time about that hit piece in Esquire, right? That they wrote, and I had the guy on. So one of the things he said, you know, the big defense, even though I pointed out that he was completely wrong in Shanksville and that you published disinformation and I proved it on air. And I go, you're not going to get a fact check. You know, they don't fact check Esquire or you. I'm like, and you obviously didn't fact check it. And he's like, you know, Jason, he's like, I find it interesting that this would be the story of the century. And he goes, reporters are so narcissistic and they want credit for things that they wouldn't break this story. And he's like, and I go, dude, what are you talking about? I go, they hide stuff all the time. I go, look at Assange, look at Seymour Hersh. I wish I'd brought up McGregor because I'd actually brought that up when he interviewed me the first time. So I sent him both. I sent him all the stuff.
well, it's not. There is no press. It's PR. It's all public relations. The corporations own everything, unless it's an independent journalist. It's fucking PR. 100% PR. If they're getting paid by some large organization, the money trickles down from some corporation who's pushing an agenda, who's pushing a narrative because they're trying to make sales.
And
like, it's not hard to understand.
So, I mean, while we're talking about PR and money and all that stuff, and you talked about Epstein, it's now they're saying, I don't know how legit this is. This is my next video. I'll probably do this sometime late tonight, but it came out yesterday that insiders are saying they have sworn testimony that Robert Maxwell, the owner of the Daily Mirror, in other words, media, like you said, PR, and also Mossad agent, who was the father of Ghislaine, was the original bankroller of Epstein. That he was, in fact, the first person to give him all this money and power outside of Wexner. Now, again, whether that's the truth or not, it's now being reported, but that just shows you what everything is PR. If you've got like a government spy agency like the Mossad bankrolling somebody like Maxwell, who owns these media organizations, and then in turn, he's the pseudo-operative that's bankrolling a blackmail operation, a drug operation, a trafficking operation. I mean, obviously, it's nuts. And it's this sick cycle. When you start pointing it out to people, they just kind of freeze up. They don't want to acknowledge it even exists. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this guy's a newspaper baron, and he's bankrolling, like, you know, this generation's #1 pedophile who's hanging out, like, with people like Bill Gates. And, like, I mean, the links are madness, dude. You know, what's it like? All right,
the press is very pro. It seems the press is very pro pedophile. It really is. Like, I am shocked. I am absolutely shocked at the defense and the defense arguments that these people are making for that cuties garbage. Like, I watched the 15 seconds of the dance thing they did.
I couldn't.
Pedophilia. I every time it comes up in my thing, I have to hide my eyes and scroll. Like, it's not about the message of the movie. It doesn't matter what was in the movie. You're showing child porn. Period. It doesn't. You can make a very poignant, powerful movie against capital murder, but I don't need to watch like hundreds of hours of like them killing people on electric chairs in order to make that point. It's tasteless, and this is even worse because like at least those are like criminals who like hurt people. These are small children, 11-year-old children, dancing like prostitutes. And I guarantee there's going to be a line of pedophiles who can't wait to watch that movie and applaud it.
I mean, they didn't have to line up.
100% of the guys who are writing articles about how it's fine, they all look like pedophiles, and I would not allow them around my children.
Listen. I covered this story when they just got flack for the poster, right? Because this is like a Sundance film, and it's a foreign film, and it's already been distributed. So those who wanted access to it already had it. And like I saw some, actresses coming to its aid, but the bottom line is, if they knew this was coming in, and this is that type of subject matter, and they are so worried, that this is an important film and about the message. I'm not for censorship, except for when it's of, like you said, pseudo child porn. There's a thing called the editor. And you can edit out these scenes of the graphic dancing. You can edit around them. It happens all the time for other things. And they didn't even take that step. So let's start there. You know what I mean?
Even using like a small person body double or something.
Well, I mean, listen, again, it was a licensed film. It had already been shot. They re-edit those things all the time. I'm not even trying to make it that difficult for them. But they didn't. They ignored all that.
How are they allowed to shoot in the first place? How is
foreign.
Not every role of film from the movie labeled as child porn and everybody's arrested for possessing child porn?
Because it's art, John. Don't you know? Art gets exemptions. It's international art, man. Then not everybody has adopted the idea that, you're grooming a teenager. For instance, Evan Rachel Wood. You watch Westworld? No?
No, I have not.
You need to. It's amazing. But basically the star of the show, Evan Rachel Wood. It's a, very pretty blonde woman, okay? She's been an actress since she was a child. So she's one of these forever showbiz kids, I believe. Her mom was also in showbiz. I forget who her mother is. But her herself, she's actually in a new documentary called Showbiz Kids. I haven't finished yet, which is great. And it actually does talk about the kids' pedophilia and how it runs, they kind of ease into it. But yeah, it's a rampant thing. It's been for a while. Basically, she's been in the business forever, and Marilyn Manson groomed her as a teenager to the point where when she turned 18, within weeks they were in a relationship, and within months she was living with him, right? And like, the physical torture and shit that she says that he did to her through these times, and again, groomed her when she was 16, 17 years old, grew this relationship, got him to trust her. We got to realize that, not only do we have like these child abuses, but, we live in a culture where, there are predators that groom these people just to use them, whether they're kids or not, especially in places like Hollywood. The kid stuff is outrageous, right? I mean, you look at Bella Thorne. Bella Thorne, they were giving her shit because of her OnlyFans suckers that paid $200 and didn't get the nude they want. Hey, guys, fuck you. You're a retard for paying fucking $200 for some nude. But at the same time, that girl, I mean, just that you want, and this isn't to shit on her business model or anything like that, just that you want a nude from somebody that was a child star who's come forward and says she was raped from the time she was 6 to 14 and everybody knew about it, and she's a Disney star, that's disturbing to me. That's not the kind of porn I would seek out. I'm just saying, John, or the kind of pics that I would be.
Oh, did you hear that girl that got child molested? She turns 18 soon. Can't wait.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Jesus, what is wrong with your miserable life?
Exactly. And Manson, I guess he's got a new
guys.
album
I do masculinity consulting also. If you're that type of person who wants to spend money on that type of thing, I might be able to help.
I mean, what do you think that is, man? Speak to that. That like right now we live in a culture where people, even before COVID 1984, were so detached that was exploding. Exploding. And I feel like
a big part of that is I think the culture, the Western culture has been very feminized and and by saying that I mean it's become very emotional, and emotions are what is the most important thing now. Not reason, not logic, nothing that makes sense, just feelings. And I think that is a big problem of the start with everything.
I mean, we have become soft. There's no doubt about it. And
I mean, it's just like you can identify like certain things are messed up or certain whatever, but you don't have to like you need to be able to step back and reflect on what the course of actions are going to be. You shouldn't just act emotionally on everything. It's not necessarily going to be healthy. Like emotions are temporary. Like how many times did you do something because of emotions and afterwards you're like, oh shit, I really shouldn't have done that. Like how about we take a break and separate ourselves from the emotion for a second and then decide on what to do with ourselves.
I'm with you, man. And so many impulse decisions are the wrong decisions. That's not to say don't trust your gut. Don't be aware of your surroundings. Mm-hmm. But
if you haven't sat back and weighed out the first, second, and third order results or like things that are going to happen after the fact, like don't do it. Most people, like in an emotional sense, they only think about first order stuff. I'm mad, so I'm going to make this happen. You got to think about what the consequences are. And I teach self-defense stuff. Like I teach avoidance. Because even if somebody gets in your face and says something and they hit you first and you hit them and you end up knocking them out and they fall to the ground, hit their head on the ground, die. Guess what? You're going to prison for the rest of your life. Nobody cares if they insulted your pride or if they swung first. No one cares. You're going to prison. Mm-hmm. So like you got to objectively look at things. What's going to be the outcomes of this? How's this going to affect my life moving forward? How's it going to affect this other person's life and these other people around me? Take some time and think.
So obviously, travel was weird. The mask thing was LARPing. Tell everybody about your
so
flight
traveling
masking.
It's LARPing. It's hella LARPing. So I flew United, and I flew Southwest a few weeks ago, and they had a space in between all the seats. So that made sense. Okay, we're spaced out, socially distanced a little bit. We're still on a fucking tube flying through the air. But United's like, fuck it. We don't need social distancing at all. And we're sitting like cramped in next to each other, shoulder to shoulder. You can take your mask down if you're drinking or eating stuff. They don't really provide anything other than the basic water, and they'll give you a bag of whatever, wipes and a water and some chips or pretzels, whatever. But like if you're eating, you can have the mask down. So like whatever. The casino itself, full of people. They're all gambling, playing stuff. They're all intermingled with us. I thought we would be kind of separated from everybody. No, we're walking through the normal casinos and stuff. We were not allowed to play or gamble. So like we could walk through everything, but we couldn't sit down and play. We couldn't eat at the restaurants. You could go to the restaurants to order food and take it to go, but you couldn't go in and sit down. Like that wasn't allowed for us fighters, at least. So there was a lot of. It's just I say it's superstition.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you gotta throw the salt over your shoulders, turn around 3 times, and then you're safe.
And now that you're back in California, wildfires are getting out of control. People are leaving.
It's smoky. Like I went for a walk. I've been walking the dog a lot, and it's kind of nice because it's like a when you go camping in the morning.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
It's like
but it's like it all day. It's like it all day though. You wake out, it's kind of a little humid. It's like kind of overcast. The sun just kind of came up, even though it's like noon. But but you smell the fire in the air. It's nice. It's kind of cozy. It's like a cozy. Oh, but you're like, oh yeah, wait a minute, everything's on fire.
Jesus
and then Antifa got a new name. They got a new name. Global warming.
Dude, but again, with this
they're blaming these fires. Oh, global warming's out of control. These fires, look at this. I'm like, what?
You saw the Gavin Newsom thing, right? Obviously.
Yeah. Like there's videos of these idiots live streaming themselves setting fires. They arrested a guy who threw a Molotov cocktail in Portland and started a huge brush fire. Like these aren't accidents. Has nothing to do with freaking global warming. This is like asshole rich kids whose parents didn't hug them enough, or no, they're asshole rich kids whose parents didn't tell them no ever. That's who it is. And now they're setting fires because they got a college degree, $100,000 worth of debt, and they don't want to get a job.
If that is the case, and I don't want to spread any conspiracy theories, guys. Fitch is saying, I don't know. I know about the Molotov cocktail in Portland and this
conspiracy king.
But let's just say that's happening. It's crazy to me that they'll justify that and do that when you're going to lose not only a lot of animal life, but possibly take human life, right? And these things go hand in hand with, they got to save the earth.
They want it. They want it. Like they want it, man. That is the whole communist mindset. There's new stuff out about Stalin and his inner workings and conversations, right? Because that was the whole thing with why communism didn't work with Russia, is because Stalin was this whatever guy who had nothing to do with communism. But like all of the dialect, all the stuff that he was saying to his inner circle of people, 100% communist rhetoric. It wasn't that he wasn't communist enough. It was he was so communist. That's why Stalin happened and he acted the way he did and did the things he did because of communism, not in spite of it. Not, oh, he was the factor that ruined it. Nope. It was the ideology itself that was evil.
I'm with you, dude. I mean, I don't even want to get into it. I got into a crazy conversation last night where I was getting screamed at last night, dude. Basically being called a racist and all these other things. And it's just like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't this person was telling me how terrible George Washington was and, all the typical stuff. And I'm just like, the Constitution and Bill of Rights, you can't show me a better document out there, and even before
our biggest problems in this country is we don't stick enough to our Bill of Rights. We don't
agree.
Stick enough to our Constitution. We have too much socialism in our country. Those are the big problems. Those are where the problems lie. We don't need more of them. We need less of them. We need to fix these things and get rid of them.
Well, I agree. And the other thing is we need less authoritarianism. You see what's happening right now.
Authoritarianism. Well, we need to stop the centralization of powers.
Yeah.
We need to cut that shit out.
I mean, again, I don't know why it's okay for my governor to just be like, New York State, here you go, Michael Bloomberg and Bill Gates, and come on over, Eric Schmidt and Bezos. It's yours. Everybody else, fuck you. Shut down. Fuck you. Like, seriously. Mm-hmm. And that's how I feel. And I mean, it's funny. So I watched the big story today is that Rogan offered to host the debate between Trump.
Debate.
Yes.
Genius.
They were just kind of talking about it because it was actually Tim Kennedy that brought it up. Kennedy said, hey, Joe, have you ever thought about moderating anything? You know, a debate between two people, and they brought up the presidency, and Rogan basically said, in order to do that, we'd have to lock the doors. It would just be me, you know, young Jamie doing the show, Trump and Biden. We'd do it for 3-4 hours, and we'd be live, so nothing could be edited. And he's like, they'd never allow that. And of course, Trump, being smart, man, he jumped right on it. He's like, I'm in. Can you fucking imagine that? Do you think? Here's my question for you.
They would never let that happen because, I mean, Biden would not survive. He would not survive. Biden would not survive a conversation with Joe Rogan one-on-one. Just lock the doors and have Joe Biden go in there and let Joe ask him some questions about things. Because Joe will push back enough on certain issues, he'll have a meltdown. He will not be able to handle any of it.
Here was my question. You know, last show we did, we showed the 1-minute ad where they had to cut it 6 times, literally once every 10 seconds or so. Here's my question, John. If you had to think about it, forget about the debates, because now they've said there is a debate scheduled on the 29th. We'll see what happens, right? Whether it's in person or blah, blah, blah. But how long do you think it's been since Joe Biden has been actually conscious for 4 straight hours? Think about that. Man. You haven't seen him.
They're gonna have to pump him through some kind of cocktail to get him to.
Do you think that's an invalid question? If you think about it, the last time he even had to stand there for 3 or close to it were the debates back in, when was it? Over a year ago now. Those Democratic primary debates was the last time you ever saw Joe Biden in person standing for 2 to 3 hours, period. Now, he can barely speak. Like, are we talking it's been several months? The best he's done is like a 45-minute presser. This shit, I don't think he could do 4 hours. I think that, forget about meltdown, like, obviously that happens in the first 30 minutes. Like,
yeah. The first series of halfway tough questions that aren't gimme softballs.
Yeah, I mean, even, and especially if it was a debate and it's not just him and Joe Rogan, you're talking about maybe minute 5. Like, it starts looking bad for Joe. Like,
yeah. Like, I mean, seriously, the first time somebody pushes back on a question, because no one's pushed back on questions with him since when?
I mean, think about this basic question that hasn't been asked. Joe, do you really believe the American people want mandatory masks throughout the entire country? Not one person's even asked him that question. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, that seems like a basic one. Oh, well, Fitch, listen. Amazing career, brother. I want to thank you for this show. This show has been super fun to do the last year, and hopefully in the last many years.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, I love doing this show. Tell us about the resistance bands. They're finally up. The deal is in. I too, with my sloppy nothingness here, I can get jacked like John Fitch.
Yes, it's about. I mean, you can't run away from a bad diet, right? But consistency is king. And a daily, 6 day a week is what I do in my training, my band course. If you can stick on that, a minimal 30, 35 minutes a day, just run through it. You're going to do way better. Your body composition, your overall health is going to be better. I've gotten a ton of downloads in the last couple of weeks because I put this live on Gumroad. I think like on Monday last week, and it's I've done somewhere like 40 or some downloads at least.
I'm going to do it.
More.
This is it. I have no excuses. I got 2 weeks until I fucking pack up.
And I think I saw that these bands were at $50 when I got them. I think they're on sale for like $30 now. So like you can get that pack of 4 for a cheaper price. The resistance band course itself is free. If you want to throw $1 or $2 or whatever at me, fine. But like, I'm tired of looking at fat bodies.
There it is, guys. I'm doing it. You're going to see a week's results next week on this. Guys, the audio version of this is over on thegruelingtruth.com. Everything John Fitch, including what you just saw, is johnfitch.net. We didn't really talk fights. There was some great fights. I'm not even sure if you saw. I know you did the fight companion with Tinkle.
I got to see, you did the fight companion with Tinkle. The flying, spinning dick kick was legendary. Unfortunately, the guys kept his balls, but that was sad to see, but at least it looked cool. Like if it was in a movie, you'd be like, yeah, but man, that was unfortunate, but yeah, so that was cool. And Juan Archuleta, stud, did a great job, looked cool, sex Boilermaker.
And wait, I just say this: props to Patchy Mix. And in the 5th round, even though
He's
it's a close
tough,
fight,
super tough guy.
Walked him down. Even he walked into. It wasn't like he backed up the entire time.
Yep.
It's just that again, Archuleta is very good at lunging in there, getting 2 to 3 punches off, real combos, connecting, and then backing out of the pocket and picking his shots again. He did that all night long, 2, 3, 4 sometimes, and then just getting out of there quick so that he couldn't get tied up. That was Patchy's game, and it failed. It failed through. I guess quickly, Covington or Woodley. I got Covington.
Woodley has just not pulled the trigger in a while. He still looks like his family's kidnapped.
I hope you're wrong.
It seems like I want to do something, but I can't because they'll kill my family. It's like he's holding back. I don't know what it is, but like if he decides to just say F it and then pulls the trigger and goes and lets his skills go and fight, he can beat anybody, but he just has not delivered lately.
I'm with John. I got Covington. Guys, again, I'm fully demonetized. If you want to hit the GoFundMe, great. We'll be back next week, and we'll have a ton of fights to talk about. That UFC card is actually pretty stacked. Johnny Walker's on it. I'm trying to think who else. Cowboy's on it, and it doesn't look like he has to throw this one, so what could happen? Who knows? All right. I'll see you later, John. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Check you later, guys.
Later.